Hi, this is my fourth technology blog. Technically, this one's a vlog. Uh, and this kind of goes along the lines of what I was talking about earlier in my previous blogs on LinkedIn um, about virtual reality. And virtual reality is a new technology. It's somewhat new. I think it's only a couple years old now, but this new technology that allows you to basically step in to the game. Not literally, but you put on a headset, and the headset has two lenses, and the lenses basically are TV screens. And I don't know how good this is for your eyes, but basically what it is it gives you the impression that you're actually in the world. Um, Through virtual reality. There are motion controls which you hold in your hands, and you sort of use them as your hands in the game. And the virtual reality uh, headset that I use is actually my friend's headset. Uh, he has the Oculus Rift. The one that's in the makerspace is the HTC Vive, which basically is the same thing. I think there's different specs, but for the most part, the same thing. And what I've been messing around with is not necessarily how I haven't been doing games per se. I've been using tools. There's this interesting sort of tool that you can use in VR. It's called Medium. And what Medium is you basically step in to the VR world, right? Step in. You put the headset on, and it generates this space around you. You have your motion controls, which act as like your palettes for painting, for sculpting. You can use one hand to kind of introduce clay into the world, the other hand to kind of select your tools. And with the right hand, you can use it to manipulate objects, erase objects, add basically more clay into the world. You sculpt it, you can paint it, what have you. The interesting thing about this tool that I've used, well, I used it yesterday. Basically, what I sort of felt is that I could use this to come up with ideas. Um, Something that I can't literally I can go directly from my imagination and physically bring it into virtual reality using motion controls and adding clay into the world, which is something that I can't really just do that in the real world without getting the materials, without setting them up. In the VR tool in the medium that I used, I can just spray this stuff into the game world and mess around with it, sculpt it, and create basically whatever I want. I've created weird monsters where I make the big head and I bring two things of clay off of them, make antennas. I put eyes on them, put a big nose on them. It's just a really interesting tool to use, and I think its applications with students in terms of teaching, I think it's just an idea generator. I can see myself in the future using VR and letting my students use it to sort of like come up with ideas in the VR world. And you can upload them to the computer, and so you can see them, I think, off or outside of VR. And so you create your objects in VR, and they show up on your computer. And I think you can apply this to the 3D printer as well. I think you can take it from the computer, and scan it and let it print on the 3D printer. I'm not really sure if that's a thing, but I think it would be a good idea in the future if I could just create something VR world and 3D print it. That would be cool. I can, the way it would apply to social studies, I can create a funny looking Parthenon and 3D print it and make a physical object. So going from what my imagination is producing in VR to a physical object. And I think that would be really cool. And I hope that is something that is applicable. The other tool that I used, they weren't tools so much as VR experiences. Basically, it's like an interactive video that plays around you while you're in VR. The one I looked at was the Nature Conservatory VR app. I think is I don't know if it's an app. You download it and it's an experience. You get in it and this video plays around you. You can look around, and what it is basically is they're trying to teach you about the oceans and how the humans have impacted our oceans, how there's overfishing in the oceans currently. And I that alone, that being an educational experience, I think there's probably more things out there, but I really hope that they start coming out with more history-related VR experiences, like the one I used the other day. I think that would be fantastic for the classroom if you can come up with a VR experience of ancient Greece. That would be cool. Or VR experience of the Revolution, the American Revolution. I think that would be incredible and incredibly useful in the classroom because it takes something sort of abstract, the things you only sort of can imagine. Like you can't really tangibly experience the revolution. There's depictions of it, and yes, the VR would be a depiction. But what I'm saying is like something on your TV, a movie about the revolution. It's still kind of disconnected. Where, however, the VR would be more of an in-depth experience. You put the VR on, and you are interacting with the world around you. You're looking around, and you're seeing the American Revolution, or you're seeing the Colosseum. Gladiators fighting in front of you. You can look around at the audience or look down at the gladiators. I think that would be cool. And I've seen YouTube videos. The YouTube videos are just kind of just VR interactive, but they're just videos. I haven't seen one like Foley VR where you get in and you can actually look around. The ones on YouTube are just videos, and you can click on it and drag it and mess with it that way. But other than that, that's about it. But yeah, so this is my fourth blog or my fourth vlog, and I think VR is very interesting, and I think there's a lot of promise for it in the future. I think it still sort of has a long way to go in terms of motion sickness. Like I put VR on, and I'm just instantly, just kind of thrown off a little bit. I have to kind of, adjust myself to VR. There's a few problems with loading. I've noticed when you click from one application and go to another, that there is a little bit of a video lag, and so you're just kind of thrown off because basically you have goggles. You can't see anything else. The only thing you see is what's in the VR headset. And so your body thinks, what your eyes are seeing is real. And so it's adjusting to that. And so when it lags or when it waves, it's really jarring. And I think that's one thing they need to work on, as well as making the VR more comfortable, more intuitive for young users. These VR goggles are big. And I think if you can size it down, if you can make it more comfortable, because you hook this thing in, it's straps, you go around your head and over the top, I think that needs to be adjusted. However, currently they're doing a lot of really cool stuff with VR. Do I think it's the revolution in education? No, not really. I do think it's a good tool, and I think that's what we're doing in our class is we're discussing tools to use in the classroom, not necessarily change the classroom around the tool. The real big, the real big tool, for lack of a better term, is the user, the teacher. I think the best tool in the classroom is the teacher. We are the ones that, do the teaching. And I think we use VR to further our points, not necessarily, making the VR the highlight of the classroom. It's along it's along the lines of the TPAC, the technological, the pedagogical, and content. We are the content. We are the the pedagogy. It's very hard. Pedagogy. Anyway, we are the culmination of those three areas. We are the TPAC. We use the technology. We understand our content area, and what we do is the pedagogy. And so we are those three things. We use the technology, and so with that, the teachers are the most intuitive things in the classroom. We are responsive to the students' needs, or at least we try to be. And so with this vlog, I would like to say that VR is great, but I think we need to focus on the aspect of the pedagogy or the content. And, with the technology incorporated, but not make it such a big deal where it becomes a distraction, like VR. If I introduce VR to students, I feel like they're going to want to do VR all the time. So, with that, I think VR is really cool. I think VR is really interesting. It puts you in the world, and I hope there's more stuff that comes out with it. I hope they improve the technology. Other than that, I had a lot of fun with it. So, all right. Well, thank you. This was my first vlog. So, hope you guys enjoy. All right. Bye.